San Diego, it's your boys down here at the Green Team. How about 3 facts for May?
Yeah.
First, that it is May. We'll get that one out of the way.
That's one.
Secondly, numbers a bit of a mixed bag. Where are sales going? Prices, I'll tell you right now, through the roof yet again. But then there's one, I'm going to call it the big bad wolf in the alley, and I'll bury that lead for when I go.
All right. And then we also want to talk about numbers, how to deal with the rising interest rates or the volatile nature of these interest rates right now.
All right, real estate side. I got to split this up into 2 halves. Talking to my buyers, and then I'll do a separate sellers camp. A lot of times we love it when they're in the same box, but I think they might be seeing this from a different perspective. First of all, from the buyer side, sales down 10%. So that tells me that there's a lot of strategizing going on, right? A lot of people trying to time stuff. And that's an interesting thing right now. My man over here in the plaid shirt is going to talk a little bit more of that when we talk about rates and payments and loans and all that stuff, because I think that's largely where all that's coming from. But I wonder if sales are down, if people realize that prices are actually up 8%. So this is supposed to be like peak time in action. We got sales down 10%, prices going up. So is that the strategy that you actually want to employ while you're sitting there waiting on the sidelines? Your market that was here right now is now here. This might actually no longer be your market because most folks try to buy at the top of their range. And the market that you were above, that you were sitting on top of, is now becoming your market. So is that the strategy for actually sitting on the sidelines? Meanwhile, inventory's up 10%. So if you're a seller, you're like, hey, man, and by the way, I think strategically they say May's the best month to sell, like in the whole deal. So right now, the longer you wait, the more competition. And I'm sure you're seeing signs in the yard just like we're seeing all over the place.
Yeah, lots of activity, more properties on the market. This is spilling over into buyer strategy, right? So one thing that we're seeing in the market right now is rates ticking up, ticking up, ticking up. And we don't know when it's coming. And sometimes it coincides with your purchase. And then what are you going to do? So one strategy that we're utilizing right now that I think is working really well is having multiple different scenarios put together for a buyer. So what happens, right? A buyer gets into contract and rates move and all of a sudden they can't even afford that or it's really close. So having 3 different scenarios put together, different payments, different structures, that allows you to be prepared for market volatility even when you get into contract and even when you're trying to navigate these different tiers of affordability like you were talking about.
And in all of that chaos, what do you got to do? Gang, you got to have a plan. So luckily, your green team's actually thought of that for you. We got a class on the buyer side. We got a workshop on the seller side to make sure you're taken care of in both capacities. And if you have any questions, of course, you know where to hit us up.